It's just been Mother's Day here in the UK, and I wanted to talk about the energy of women and how an awful lot of women who have so many talents don't actually realize it themselves, especially when they get into a certain age where they are literally coming away from having looked after their children or multifaceted with their own businesses and their children and everything else, but they sort of lose or they don't recognize in themselves all of the amazing talents that they have. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to do a podcast that's all about women. So obviously the men who are listening to this, I'm sure you have amazingly strong women around you. So this is just, experiencing that it's been Mother's Day and celebrating that. Let me ask you something. When you go back, say, to the 50s, and you would see that women would be doing so many different things, but it was when I feel that we sort of decided that the way women think and felt and moved through the world was somehow less than the male energy. Because, like I say, if you go back far enough, before boardrooms, before performance metrics, before the idea that power had to look sharp and fast and measurable, there were women. And women were there, not on the sidelines, but at the centre. Further back, way, way back, there were high priestesses, leaders, healers, decision makers. Women who understood cycles, who worked with the rhythms of the land, who could read not just what was happening, but what was actually coming. They'd have this inner intuitive nature that perhaps even with their children, if they were away and something had happened to their children or they were worried or poorly, then they'd instinctively know that there was something wrong. And no one really questioned their intelligence. No one really said, that's just intuition, because intuition was intelligence. If you look across ancient civilizations, you'll find her everywhere, in temples, in rituals, in the quiet, powerful spaces where decisions were made. The feminine consciousness wasn't separate from leadership. Because these women weren't just thinking in straight lines, they were thinking in webs almost, connecting to people, connecting to understanding emotions, holding long-term consequences alongside with immediate needs. So they were able to multifacet or multitask. They didn't need everything to be black and white. That ability hasn't gone anywhere. Somewhere along the line, the world began to favour a different kind of intelligence. Faster, sharper, more visible, the kind you could measure, the kind that you could put perhaps on a spreadsheet, and slowly the quieter intelligence, the one that felt, that sensed, that held nuance, became harder to see. Not gone, but it was just unrecognised. Because here's where I feel it gets interesting. That same ancient intelligence, it didn't disappear. It just moved into everyday life, into homes, into families, into the invisible spaces that keep everything running. And let's be honest for a moment. There are women right now who are running a household, doing the logistics of operations that would rival a small business. And they think they're not working. Those women who are at home bringing up their children. But they are absolutely amazing, while simultaneously acting as head chef, taxi driver, emotional support unit, conflict resolution specialist, homework supervisor, we've all done that, haven't we? Part-time detective, who left this here, and occasionally unpaid therapist. And that was probably all before 9 a.m. when the children have just left the house. And we just call that, women just call that life. But if you actually break it down, I think women are quite magnificent and extraordinary, because what's happening in those moments is constant integration between the left brain and the right brain, because the female brain is different to the male brain. The male brain is rational, analysing, sorting things out, looking for solutions, providing in lots of ways, and has many, many different values other than those. But the right brain is the feminine, it's the intuitive side, it's the creative side. And in women, the left and the right brain work together, which means that we sort of create like a little bridge between the two, sort of locking those two together. So we're able to multifaceted at the same time. So we're able to allow those two parts of the brain to work together. Planning the day while sensing the mood of the teenager who says, "I'm fine," but clearly is not fine. Or managing time while reading energy, solving problems while holding emotional space. It's orchestration. And now, interestingly, science is beginning to catch up. We're starting to understand that many women have stronger communication between the two hemispheres of the brain, meaning logic and intuition aren't separate systems. They're actually working together constantly, which explains a lot, doesn't it? Why you can think something and feel something and know something all at the same time, and somehow still make a decision that takes all of it into account. That's integration. And now bring that into today, because the modern woman isn't just holding all of that at home, she's also working. She's building businesses, she's leading teams, she's showing up in professional spaces that were never originally designed with this kind of intelligence in mind. So what do we have? We have a woman who can run a meeting at 10 a.m., resolve a team issue at 11, and reply to emails at 12, and still remember that her child has a school trip on Thursday, needs a packed lunch, and hasn't told anyone they're anxious about it yet, because she's already felt it. And again, we call this normal. But something is changing, because more and more women are beginning to realize this isn't something to downplay, it's something to understand and to respect and to work with rather than against. Because for so long, the message has been, you're too much, you're trying to do too much at once, you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, you're too aware. But what if that too much is actually exactly what's needed? And I think that female energy is coming more and more predominantly, that intuitive, that nurturing, that caring side. I think all the world wants that more now. The world wants more peace, wants more love, wants more balance. So let's just do a meditation if you can, obviously, if you're driving or ferrying your kids somewhere or doing other multitasks. If you can just slow down for a moment, let's do a meditation. And I'll call this remembering the power that never actually left. So close your eyes and take a slow breath in and out. And just allow yourself to arrive here and now. Instead of trying to quieten your mind, just notice it. The layers, the movement, the awareness. Everything you carry, not as a burden, but as evidence of your capacity. Now imagine you're standing in a long line. And if you look, it's all women. Behind you, in front of you, generations, women who held families, communities, wisdom, knowledge, not always seen, but always present. And you are a part of that line, connected. Now feel that for a moment. Feel the strength. The quiet resilience. The intelligence that doesn't need to prove itself to exist. And now bring your awareness back to yourself, here, now. And gently allow this thought to soften and listen to it. Nothing about the way I am is accidental. There is intelligence in this. There is power in this. And let it settle into your body. No need to force it, just allowing it to be there. And realize that you are amazing. You are magnificent. Now gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Just following the breath down through the back of the throat into your lungs, and following the breath out. Be aware of your hands and feet. And gently bring yourself back into the room. And slowly open your eyes. So maybe the return of the goddess isn't about something rising dramatically from the past. Maybe it's about finally recognizing what never left. The quiet intelligence, the unseen work, the constant awareness. So perhaps the real question isn't, where has this power been? But maybe the question is, why did we stop seeing it? Before we finish today, I want to share something with you. Over the past few months, I've had a lot of people get in touch to say how valuable they find these episodes, and to ask how they can go a bit deeper or learn more. I've been recording this podcast weekly for a long time now, and the conversations have naturally become more reflective and more in depth. It's work I genuinely love and care about, and I've realised it's time to create a space where that kind of weekly content can be supported properly. So I'm launching a private podcast with weekly episodes available for subscribers at £5.99 per month. The public podcast isn't going anywhere, but it will now only be one episode per month instead of weekly. That monthly episode will stay exactly as it is now, thoughtful, grounded, and freely available. The private podcast is for those of you who listen regularly and want ongoing weekly content, deeper conversations, and ideas that build over time. There's no pressure to join. This is simply an option. If it's right for you, you're very, very welcome. If not, I'm glad you're here, and that won't change. All the details are in the show notes so that you can take a look when it suits you. Thank you again, as always, for listening and for being part of this space.